What's up, guys? We're going to be taking a look at the knife that you see in front of you right here today. This is a discontinued knife. This is the Kershaw Junkyard Dawg 2 in titanium and SG2. It's a pretty cool knife. Let's start with the blade. Got about 3.5 inches of SG2. This is a SG2 laminate. So if you can see this line here, let me see if I can focus real quick. If you can see this line right here, this steel is basically 3-layered. There's 1 layer of SG2 in the middle and 2 layers of 420J2 on the outside. And the reason for that is, first of all, using less SG2 is cheaper. SG2 is a high-end cutlery steel that Kai will use in a lot of their kitchen knives. So that's basically where that steel comes from. But it's very hard and it tends to rust and it's expensive. So what they did is they didn't want to make the whole blade out of it, just the cutting edge, because that's really the only portion of the blade that you use to cut with. So it is sandwiched in 420J2, which is much softer. It's able to take more abuse. It's very rust resistant and it's cheaper, so it allows you to get the knife at a cheaper price. So it's pretty cool technology, pretty cool idea. I'm not really sure how the different layers of steel are held together, but obviously it's some sort of epoxy or welding that keeps them together. Got a really cool blade shape. It's sort of a spear point. Here's a size comparison real quick with the Paramilitary 2. The grind on this one's a pretty high hollow grind, so it comes to a pretty thin edge. And blade thickness is relatively thin for a knife this size. Usually it's a little thicker. It's thinner than the Paramilitary, actually, significantly. So it is a pretty thin blade, but the grind only starts on mid-spine, so it's not too weak. The tip is very thin too, though, so you have to be careful with that. And it does come to a thin edge, though, which makes this a really good slicer. Finish on this guy is a bead blast, which from Kershaw can mean trouble, can mean a lot of rust. This one in particular hasn't rusted on me, but I have had a lot of bead blast Kershaws rust on me in the past. But this one hasn't, maybe due to the 420J2. I'd rather they just stonewash it, but you know, I like stonewashing everything. So this one in particular is a blem. You can see here XXXX on the blade means that this is a factory blemish. I looked all over the knife pretty carefully. I couldn't really figure out what the blemish was. I think it might be an uneven grind line here, or a little bit of a mistake with the jimping, cutting the jimping here. But they're really very minor mistakes with this knife. It's really very well finished for what it is. So a really nice blade shape, pretty cool swedge. Let's go on to the handle. Yeah, a nice big roomy handle of titanium. Thickness is pretty good. That's about the same as the Paramilitary 2, maybe a little thinner actually. And that makes it pretty light of a knife. Pretty thin blade, pretty thin handles, makes it pretty light. But it is definitely quite strong. You can see the TI lock bar lock up. It's about 3/4 of the way, and it does lock up very solidly. One small problem I had with this knife is that the pivot screw tends to get loose after a while. I'm not sure why that is, but it's kind of annoying. But all you really gotta do is just tighten it down, and quickly solves the problem. Got this really cool sort of aircraft rivets, or these little holes in the titanium here. Adds a little more aesthetic design and makes it seem like not such a boring knife. I mean, obviously the shape is very unique. Tim Gallion makes some really unique but good-looking knives, but the sort of rivets here make it look a little cooler. This knife is flipper only. It does deploy pretty well. You can just flip it like that, and honestly, like, it comes out really easily. You don't need a secondary method like a thumb stud or something. This one was made in January 08, so not too old. You can see here I have a custom pocket clip. I don't really have the original clip. I'm not sure where I put it, but it looks pretty ridiculous. If you just Google images, the Junkyard Dawg 2, you can see a picture of it, and it's this really weird, like, wavy thing. It's really ugly, and it doesn't really look comfortable to use either. This is more like this is a custom clip made by STR, who's on Blade Forums, and it's a low rider, unlike the other one which has like half the knife sticking out your pocket. But it's a low rider and has a pretty nice normal shape. If you look at like Google Images or something for a large Junkyard Dawg by Tim Gallion, one of his mid-techs, you'll see the clip is much closer to this than it is the real clip that Kershaw made for this one. Overall, this is a really high quality, large EDC to tactical folder that, you know, if you're able to find one of these, I'd say by all means go ahead and get it. They're really hard to find now, which is a problem, but it remains a solid choice if you can find one. Blems used to be available for about $100. I think they're really hard to find these days, so if you can get one though, pick it up, especially if it's non-blem and you have a really nice titanium frame lock flipper. I think if you found them on sale, they'd be less than like $250 or so. So it still rivals the cost of many high-end knives, and it really does compete very well in materials and fit and finish. Machining is very good everywhere. The jimping is nicely cut. Works very well on, you know, everywhere, on the flipper, on the lock bar, and on the thumb ramp, and all pretty good. Definitely a solid choice if you're looking for a mid-large size EDC and you want something that's pretty strong and really has a unique shape to it. Anyways, I'll see all of you later. That's my review of the Kershaw Junkyard Dawg 2 in titanium and SG2. I'll see y'all later. Peace.